This meeting of the Rolling Meadows City Council is hereby called to... This meeting of the Rolling Meadows City Council is hereby called to order. Would everyone please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will please call the roll.
Cannon.
Here.
Farina is absent. Majikis.
Here.
Judd.
Here.
Biancher.
Here.
Diastis.
Present.
Veenbos.
Present.
With 6 present and 1 absent, there is a quorum present this evening. Therefore, members of the audience are reminded that these proceedings are being videotaped for current and future broadcast over the city's cable television channel. The first item on the agenda this evening is a motion to approve the minutes of the March 10th council meeting. Is there such a motion? Mr. Banger has made the motion, and Mr. Veenbos has seconded it. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none, the question is, shall the minutes be approved? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. Under the mayor's report this evening, I just have 2 brief items. Number 1, Mr. Diastis, I again thank you from the chair for filling in the last time and part of the meeting in between. So you've done portions or all of 3 of the last 4 due to a school schedule and a lobbying day. I promise I won't call on you again during your 6 months as the mayor pro tem. Mr. Veenbos, you're going to be up next, but it won't be till October, so there's plenty of time between now and then.
Sweat it out.
Also, because one of those, particularly last week, involved this trip to Springfield on the lobbying efforts of the mayors, as long as things pass in their current form, and down in the land of make-believe, there's no guarantee of that, but as long as things pass in their current form, it looks like the City of Rolling Meadows exposure for the plans that are due to round out this fiscal year could be up to about $65,000 and could be non-existent. So if a range is 0 to 65 grand, we seem to be fairly safe at the moment. We have been in a lot of contact with our representatives to make sure that things stay that way, if not closer to 0. And so we're all keeping an eye on what will happen between the House and the Senate. The House did pass the plan. We'll see if we can come out that relatively unscathed. Hopefully some of that was due to some of the efforts that the mayors put on their full court press down on the home court of Springfield. But we also know there's a whole lot of other things that go into it. And so for right now, we'll hope that that stays the way it is. That's the mayor's report for this evening. Are there ward reports? Mr. Veenbos of the 7th Ward.
Real quickly, I just want to thank the people of the 7th Ward for emailing me their comments and concerns about financial planning for the city. And I passed some of those on to you, Mr. Mayor, and just appreciate their feedback.
Further ward reports? Then seeing none, there are no signatories on the sign-in sheet this evening, and so therefore the council can proceed straight to its pending business. There's only one ordinance that's in for second reading this evening, and that is item A. This ordinance, if adopted, would keep open the city's ability to issue nearly $2.5 million in private activity bonds. This bond authority has only been used occasionally, but keeping the authority open would allow interested private sector entities the ability to still apply during 2015. This action has been taken annually to keep possibilities open. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance? Mrs. Majikis has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the ordinance be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Majikis.
Yes.
Judd.
Yes.
Biancher.
Yes.
Diastis.
Yes.
Veenbos.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
With 6 in favor and none opposed, this ordinance is hereby declared passed. There is only one item also in for first reading this evening. It is item B. This ordinance, if adopted, would amend a previously approved plan for a new parking structure at Continental Towers. The 3 amendments proposed would expand the structure by 11 feet on each side, allow for a 5th floor if the property manager chooses to move forward with creating one, and grant a variance for certain areas that cannot meet the requirement of no more than 6 inches of temporary standing water during a large storm. The Plan Commission considered this request and unanimously recommended its approval. Is there a motion to move this ordinance forward for second reading?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Diastis has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the clerk move the ordinance forward for second reading? The clerk will please call the roll.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Biancher?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
With 6 in favor and none opposed, the clerk will please move this item forward for second reading. That contains all of the ordinances this evening. Moving us quickly to the warrant, the document that releases all the funds for the obligations of the city that were incurred from March 4th through the 17th. The amount for approval is nearly $1 million, roughly 60% of which is related to the payroll. Is there a motion to approve the warrant as prepared by the Finance Department? Mr. Banger has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the warrant be approved? The clerk will please call the roll.
Judd?
Yes.
Biancher?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
With 6 in favor, none opposed, the warrant is approved. Moving to the resolution portion of the agenda, on the consent agenda for resolutions, there are 5 items, items D through H. Would any alderman like any of those items removed from the consent agenda for resolutions? Then seeing none, the chair asks unanimous consent for a motion to move all 5 resolutions for adoption. Is there any objection to doing so? Seeing no objection, it is so ordered that such a motion would be in order. Is there such a motion? Mr. Banger has made the motion, and it has been seconded. The question is, shall all 5 resolutions be adopted? Item D would approve a contract with Berry Landscaping of Des Plaines, Illinois, to provide landscape maintenance at 58 various pieces of city property. Item E would update the current intergovernmental agreement between Township High School District 214 and the City of Rolling Meadows regarding interaction between the high school and the police department. Item F would approve a contract with Superior Road Striping of Melrose Park, Illinois, to provide new striping at various city streets and crosswalks. Item G would approve an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Schaumburg for a bike path extension along Gulf Road. And item H, just to rub our noses all in the current weather, would authorize the annual order for winter road salt for next winter through the State of Illinois' Joint Purchasing Program. The question is, shall all 5 resolutions be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Biancher?
Yes.
Diestis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon? Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
6 in favor and none opposed, all 5 resolutions are adopted. Under other business and reports, there are neither appointments nor proclamations from my chair this evening. Does the city clerk have a report?
Final report on the election, which
All right.
is 2 weeks from today. Early voting started yesterday and goes through April 4th. You can also still register to vote at the township office and the court office on Euclid. That's it.
Then under city staff reports, we could be in line for a record-setting time tonight because Mr. Crumpstock's list is unusually short. So, Mr. Crumpstock, community items of interest.
Obviously, we already touched on number 1 about the consolidated election. Obviously, the next one that we want to remind people is that starting this Monday, March 30th, yard waste collection does start, and also, I've got a competition here.
She's happy for that.
Yep. Early refuse set out actually does end for that March 30th. So again, for people per the code, we're allowed early up to a certain point in time. Now we go back to regular. So again, beginning Monday, March 30th, residents should place refuse and recyclables at the curb after 6 p.m. the night before scheduled pickup. And again, if you have any questions, please contact the Public Works Department at 847-963-0500 or visit the city website for that. And obviously, because it's the last meeting of the month, we talk about future committee meetings that are coming up. So for April, we will not be having the Economic Development Committee or the Zoning Board of Appeals, but the Plan Commission will be meeting on Tuesday, April 7th at 7:30 p.m. There are 2 tentative items for public hearings, and they consist of 1, an assigned appeal for the property located at 3245 Kirchhoff Road. The petitioner is the Lexington Homes across the street. And then the second one actually is a special use for the medical marijuana dispensary for the property located at 975 Rowling Road. The petitioner is Maria Mitch Myers for Nature's Care Company, and that was actually an update that we just had at a committee of the whole. And with that, that's really items of interest for this meeting.
Talk fast.
Then the new business list to come from February, also Mr. Crumstock.
That's actually relatively small. There are 4 items on it. What I do want to highlight is the Spice Grill at 5540 New Wilkie Road is actually open. They do have a buffet during lunch, and obviously they are an Indian restaurant, so I would recommend anybody stop by, and it's right by Jake's Authentic, and you can go continue on with Hickory Roasters and work your way down to everything else in that area. But the other item that I would mention on the new business list for February is that Walsh Construction Company actually put in a office at the 2100 Gulf Road, and they're actually the main contractor, or one of the main contractors, working on the tollway project. So again, those are the 2 that I would highlight from the February new business list.
Mr. Kinn.
Barry, could you tell us, do you have any idea how many employees that Walsh is going to bring in there?
Because it's really just offices and everything else, it's very limited what they brought in, but they have a lot of people who come, get their assignments, and then they go to their next part. So I don't know the exact number, but as they said, it's really limited. It's really office space for some of their meetings that they have with the Tollway Authority,
Okay.
also with some of their foremen that are in the project.
Great, thanks.
Then the next item under staff reports is the staff traffic advisory report. Mr. Vogt.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of items to highlight from the meeting that was held earlier this month of the Traffic Review Committee. First, regarding the Rolling Meadows High School with the ongoing efforts to improve the traffic circulation there. The proposal is to install a bus-only lane out the southeast portion of the high school to access Oak Lane. This was the topic that we had a public meeting for the residents in the area about, I believe it was in January. The high school's engineer has submitted plans, permit applications. Public Works and city engineer are currently reviewing those, and hope to get those turned around relatively soon so that the high school can stay on their schedule to get this installed this spring and late spring and during the summer. Another topic the Traffic Review Committee had was regarding bike path request on Industrial Avenue. The city engineer reported that there is adequate width on Industrial Avenue between Hicks and Rowling. The committee felt that it was important to communicate with the businesses in the area, so staff will be working on that and notifying them of the potential for a on-street bike path to be constructed. We also talked about the merits of an off-street bike path, but from a cost standpoint, there's very little to doing an on-street bike path, so that's likely to be what the direction will be if we get general concurrence from the businesses, and we'll certainly take any input that they have into consideration before making a final recommendation. Another item, Arbor Drive curve, we've talked about this earlier, to not install a guardrail as requested at this time, but to put warning signs up. Now that the weather is generally more favorable, we will take on that task and install some advanced warning signs, as well as what we call chevron signs, to mark the 90-degree curve there, and then monitor that for effectiveness. Linden Lane at Central, another topic. The police department will be getting us some plan or proposal to enhance the pedestrian crossing signage there now that the weather is favorable for doing pavement striping in the near future. Lastly, just a further update on the school zone traffic signage that we've been working on as a committee, and with Public Works and Police Department reviews in the different school areas. We will be starting those installations and upgrades in April. There were a couple of things that caught the eye of our engineer and police department in final review, and modifications are being made, but we will begin that process on the Central Road corridor and then at the Kimball Hill School area along Meadow Drive during the month of April, and then move to other areas after that. So that's the report of the activity of the committee for this month.
Then the final item under city staff reports is the purchase order disclosures over $2,500. Ms. Gallagher?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are 5 purchase orders for review. Nothing further to note.
Then that concludes the items that are under city staff reports. Are there matters not on the agenda to be discussed this evening? Mr. Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After our discussion last week with the gentleman from Clark Development, I got a couple of phone calls this week, and both of them come up with a couple of interesting thoughts, and I just thought I would pass them on. One would be hard-pressed to feel real optimistic about the near future with what they told us. That being said, I guess I was wondering if as a group, if we could consider what our options might be in the near term versus waiting for another year before something happens. And I don't know if that would be a cow discussion, or I'm not really sure how to proceed with it, but I think the residents made a pretty valid point. You know, if they're not even having a contractual discussion with anybody, I mean, nothing's going to happen down there for a long time. Now, and obviously, that could change tomorrow, but there was really no reason to hang our hat on any optimistic thoughts that they come up with that night. So I don't know how other people feel about it, but I guess I would rather not sit here and wait another whole year with nothing to go on. I don't know how much pressure we can put on them. I mean, I know they're trying, but it's, you know, like you said, Mr. Mayor, at the end of the meeting, or at the end of their portion, it's the number one thing on people's minds, and it's kind of depressing for the town. It makes us look like, I don't know, it just doesn't look very good for us. And I don't know how other people feel about it, but I guess I'd like to try to have a discussion to see if there's something we can come up with to get something going there. I don't know what the answer is.
I certainly do not object to having a committee of the whole item discussion about it. I would suggest that if we're going to do that, you might want to take a few moments sometime to talk a little bit with Mr. Krumstock or Ms. Gallagher, because I'm at a loss to come up with what we would talk about.
Well, maybe we can-
as
I guess what-
unfortunate as the situation is, they are a legal property owner of a
Absolutely.
property.
Absolutely.
It's not our property to do anything about, so...
But maybe, I don't know, I guess one of the residents said, maybe we should really encourage them to look at a residential option there. It doesn't have to be for all the property, but it doesn't, obviously, the 133,000 square feet don't have a major appeal to anybody at the moment.
Well, something like that, I think, could certainly be a committee of the whole item, because that has been part of the impression they've gotten, if not instruction they've been given, that residential won't hunt when it comes to their proposals. If the council as a whole were to signal willingness to consider that, that could be an appropriate topic for a committee of the whole item. Would that be satisfactory?
You know, again, I don't really have a conclusion I can come to, which I don't like to do that, but I don't know how other people feel about it, but I just don't want to wait and be sitting here in December and say, God, we have another whole year, we've just gone by the wayside. We still have 133,000 square feet that look even uglier now than they did at the beginning of the year, and we have nothing going on there. So I know we can't force them to. I know they own it legally and all that stuff, and I'm not mad at them, but we just like to see some progress there.
Well, let's put it this way. If that would work for you, a discussion like that would provide some direction for the discussion and would also open a door for anything else that anybody would want to talk about on the general subject. So it seems to me like a door opener to a conversation that we could ask to be placed on the agenda.
That would be great.
Satisfactory?
That would be great.
Fair enough. Are there other matters not on the agenda? Then seeing no other matters not on the agenda, there is a request tonight to go into closed session for 3 purposes. One, we do semi-annually. It's the review of closed session minutes that must be done every 6 months. That falls under subsection C21 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. The other 2 are separate items that concern particular personnel, and personnel falls under subsection C1 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. It does require a formal roll call vote. Is there a motion to go into closed session for those purposes? Mr. Banger has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the council enter closed session to discuss those 3 items? The clerk will please call the roll.
Diastis?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Biancher?
Yes.
With 6 in favor and none opposed, the council will now enter closed session to discuss those 3 items. Members of the audience and of the press are advised that we do not expect to take any action upon returning to open session.